Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Morris with Consolidated Planning Group. Thank you so much for being here today. We've got a great webinar for you today. We're going to be talking about planning and special needs planning for your family, but specifically about what options are available to your loved ones beyond high school for educational opportunities. So today we are hosting with Kara, and she is with the Williams School. So we have a little bit of information about the Williams School that we're going to talk about first. Before we get into that, though, I do want to let everybody know kind of the housekeeping items for today, if you will. So first of all, we're in webinar mode, and that means that we cannot see you or hear you. We know you're out there because we can see the number of participants, but we still would love to hear your questions and comments. So if there's anything that you would like to share, you can put that in the chat box. I will be watching the chat box as I'm presenting and be able to answer any questions that come up. We record all of our webinars and we always put them on our YouTube channel. So yes, there will be a recording and you will get a copy of the slides. So if you miss out or if you're interested in checking out our YouTube channel, I've already put that information in the chat box for you. I also put my contact information so you can reach out to me personally if you have any further questions or if you want to schedule a free consultation with me. So without any further ado, I want to welcome Kara Huss to talk about Williams School. And just, thank you for sharing us with your audience. And please tell us, what we need to know and what is Williams School and how can you help the families we work with?
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle, for having us and for your group for hosting these webinars. It's been a great tool for us to be able to offer more resources and information to our families.
Thank you.
My name is Kara. I'm the Executive Director of Williams School. I'm excited to tell you a little bit about our organization. So our mission is to provide unique education for unique individuals with a vision that we're a community that supports neurodiverse individuals and their unique progress towards confidence, independence, and connectedness. We are a private nonprofit school who believes that given the right supports, all students can thrive. So you'll see our school hours there. We function on a standard school year calendar, and then we also offer summer camps. And I won't read all the details because, as Michelle said, you'll have access to these slides, and I'll put our contact information in the chat as well.
Perfect. I think one big question here, though, Kara, is going to be, are there waiting lists? Are there still openings for summer programs? That kind of thing.
Great questions. We do have a waiting list, not in all classrooms, but we do have some. We are currently enrolling. We have a few remaining spots for summer, and we are also enrolling for the fall. We have another tour tomorrow for families who are interested in summer programming. And then we have another in July, and you can see and register for those on our website as well.
Perfect. I know you're going to get to that other question.
Yeah, I see a question in the chat about ages. We serve ages 2 to 22. And that is summer camp and school year programming. So as I mentioned, students that we serve ages 2 to 22. Many of our population has autism, emotional disturbance, ADD, ADHD, Down syndrome. Overall, students who are struggling in a more traditional classroom setting. So we see it for a lot of our families. You have public school options, or you have maybe clinical services. But many of the alternative settings in our area do not allow for behavioral challenges or deficits in communication, or learners who are struggling with, again, the more traditional setting and need a smaller ratio, need the therapy supports, and may have higher levels of support needs, or who may just not be thriving in those more traditional environments. And then we also have therapies on site, so families who are looking for receiving all of their services in one collaborative location.
That is fantastic. So we had somebody write in a question before the webinar even started, and they were looking for a place for a student with emotional disturbances, and that sounds like you might be a good fit for them.
Yeah. So again, more details we've talked about here. So ages 2 to 22, typically grouped based on learning styles, support needs, and within a 4-year age range. We have students who can do a ratio of 1 to 4 down to 1 to 1. Classrooms of 6 to 8 students per classroom with a teacher and a teaching assistant, and some with a second teaching assistant who's also a registered behavior technician. And then I mentioned having the school team in collaboration with both ABA, speech and occupational therapy offered on site as well. So again, accepting of all behavioral support needs. We work with students with high levels of behavior, with social deficits, communication deficits, and then varying academic support needs. We individualize that curriculum to the students. Again, with the small classroom ratios, we're able to really assess and see where are they currently, where do they need to be, and look at that from a developmental whole child approach versus just their grade and age-based placement. And then we have a big focus on social emotional learning and making sure that we're dedicating time to proactively teaching those skills, and really working on the social instruction from the very entry levels of playing near a child to having those complex empathy-based conversations and interactions as they grow through those. Our wonderful team, we have again lead teachers, teaching assistants, classroom TAs and RBTs, as well as a team of BCBA's speech pathologists, occupational therapists, and registered behavior technicians who are all on site every day serving the various needs of our students. And then our enrollment process, you can also see this on our website. But the first thing is that tour. So you'll see those on the calendar on our website. You can register for those there. After the tour, you'd receive an application. And then we have a few visits set up to really get to know your family and your student and make sure that we are the right fit. And if we're not, to help you find where that next best fit might be.
I love that you're going to help them find something if you're not the right place. I love that so much.
And this is our phenomenal therapy dog, Granita. She's on site every day, helping serve our students as well. And there's our email address. I'll also put my contact information in the chat. So feel free to reach out to us if you want more information or have more questions. I'll be here through the full webinar, so feel free to send me a message as well. And thank you again, Michelle, for joining with us and for providing this information and letting us share a little bit about what we do.
Thank you so much, Kara. I love this so much. And hopefully you'll join in on some of the, sometimes we do a panel discussion of different schools and things. One last question that I have about the Williams School is, where is it located?
Yes, we're in Northwest Austin, so we are at the intersection Duval and 183, so kind of between the Domain and the Arboretum on that stretch of Duval.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. So
Yeah,
anybody
thank
in the Austin area or looking for a great place for their kids to be, please contact the Williams School if you have any questions, any more questions for Kara. So that is one fantastic option. And of course, we're going to talk about some other options and things to think about beyond high school. But first of all, you know, who even is Consolidated Planning Group and why should you be listening to me at all? Well, first of all, it's not just me. Consolidated Planning Group, we are a small, independent, holistic style firm. We're a financial advisory firm that focuses on helping families with a loved one who has some kind of intellectual or developmental disability. So it doesn't matter what kind, what age, what severity, we are here to help you understand the regulations and rules and nuances of special needs planning. So we are located just outside of Houston in the Sugar Land, Texas area, and we serve families all across the United States. So if you are in Texas, I know that most of the programs and things I'm going to be talking about today are here in Texas. If you're not from Texas, though, you're still going to be able to get a lot of great information from today's webinar. So I would encourage you to stick around and then, you know, explore some of the opportunities in your own neck of the woods, if you want to quote good old Al. So we do have over 30 years of experience in insurance and securities. What we are also members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are chartered special needs consultant, and we are nationally certified as Social Security advisors. So we take this very, very seriously. Helping families with a special needs individual is not just something that we can also do, in addition to everything else that we do, it is our main goal is to help families like yours. So people come to us for things like protection plans, lifetime care planning, transition planning. There's so much that happens when your child turns 18 or when they finish high school or when they move out or when you pass away. There's a lot of different transitions in life. So we can help you think about those and plan for that to come about. We can help you with ABLE accounts and understanding different buckets of money and how your money needs to be handled so that your loved one doesn't get rejected for any benefits. And we're here to advocate for you and to help educate you. You know, the owner of our company, Allison Schaberg, has 4 children and 2 of them have disabilities. So when she was going through this with her own family, you know, she was already into financial services and had been for a long time. But when she saw how difficult all of the nuances of special needs planning were, that's when she decided that our whole company was just going to focus on helping this specific community because we know it's hard because we've been through it. And we are one of very few firms in the United States who focus on special needs planning. So in the United States, there are approximately 263,000 financial advising firms. But out of those 263,000, fewer than 200, period, not 200,000, but 200 focus on special needs planning the way we do. That's less than 0.1% of all the financial advisory firms in the United States who truly get what it takes to have a solid plan for your special needs loved one. So you are definitely in the right place when it comes to visiting with Consolidated Planning Group. Again, I'll mention that we offer a free consultation if you would like to chat with us about any specific questions. So feel free to take note of those questions and give me a call or email and I'll set up that free consult with you. So we know that it keeps you awake thinking about who will take care of my loved one when I can't do it anymore. Maybe I'm too old and I can't be chasing my child around the house, or maybe I'm going to pass away. I mean, not maybe I'm going to pass away. Someday I'm going to pass away. And when that time comes, what's going to happen? So we want you to develop a future care plan now. Start your planning now so that, first of all, you can get all of these questions answered. You don't have to rush and be so stressed about it. You can have a longer runway to make smaller changes that would have a greater impact. You know, if you've got 10 or 15 or 20 years to plan, that's great. We want that. If you have 30 or 40, that's even better. If you're, in the home stretch, so to speak, and there could be limitations to the planning that we can do for you if things aren't available. So it's way better to get started as soon as possible on planning. Does not matter how old or young your child is, but we're here and we're not going to, ridicule you or make fun of you for things you haven't done yet. There's no, you're not going to get in trouble. We're just going to take you from where you are and move forward and help you plan for the future. Now, think about what's going to happen after high school. Okay, we're going to talk about that a lot today. We're going to talk about transition programs, residential programs, but mostly educational programs today. Some of these programs might have a waiting list, so it's a good idea to check into them early, tour the campus or the facilities and see what they have to offer, and get your name on that waiting list so that when the time comes, you have the power to choose. Finally, we always say just be super, super careful when you're thinking about who will take care of your loved one after you're gone. Many people say, oh, my son Jacob, he's got an older sister, Sarah, and Sarah will be able to have a job and she will be able to take care of him. And that sounds great, and it sounds less expensive than a residential community and all of that. However, At this point, Sarah's probably saying, oh, yeah, sure, I love my brother. I'll help take care of him. When the time comes, Sarah might see it more as an obligation and biting off a little bit more than she thought or, more than she considered. And also, Sarah's going to have her own career and family, possibly, and her own life. So it could create a little bit of an obligation for Sarah. And on the other hand, little Jacob, he's had Sarah as his partner in crime, his best friend all this time. And he might see it as, building some resentment for his sister, who is now trying to step into the role of caregiver. And he might think, "Ah, you're not my mom." I know that's what I would think if I were in that situation. So just be careful with that. Um, so getting onto the topic of after high school, what's going to happen? First of all, we encourage everybody to have realistic expectations. Don't compare your kid to your neighbors or their siblings or their cousins or whatever, and certainly don't compare your kids to what you see on Facebook, because everybody posts their best on Facebook, right? Your kids aren't behind, your kids are just where they are. I like to, some people compare, they have that analogy about a flower that grows in the soil, and if the flower won't grow, it's probably one of the elements around it. I like to use the analogy of popcorn, because popcorn is my favorite snack, and I make it on the stovetop because that's how my grandpa taught me. And I love popcorn on the stovetop. But as many times as I've ever made popcorn for my snack, never have all the kernels popped at the same time. I mean, I'm going to put all of the kernels from the same bag into the same pan on the stove. The oil is in there. They're all cooking at the same temperature, but they're never all going to pop just all at once. You're going to have some that pop early, a majority of them pop kind of all in the middle, and then some stragglers that pop a little later. Or even as I'm pouring it into the bowl, sometimes they pop, and sometimes, those kernels don't pop at all. We're not mad at the kernels. It's okay. That's just where they are. It's not a big deal. We don't judge them. We don't yell at them. We don't compare them to their friends. It just is what it is. So that's what we encourage you to do, is think realistically about your loved one and their plans for the future and your goals and hopes and dreams for them. But throw away those comparisons. Maybe they're not going to go to a traditional 4-year high school, 2-year, 2 to 4 year plan after that, and go on to get, a doctorate or anything like that. Maybe they're going to have a non-traditional path. That's totally fine. They can go to a transition program after high school that will help teach them kind of more of social skills and what it's like to be an adult and what they need to watch out for. Maybe they'll go to a trade school or a community college. My son just graduated from the Aviation Institute for Mechanics, where he learned to be an aircraft mechanic. Maybe they'll go to a university and pursue a degree program, maybe a certificate program or some kind of a license where they can go work, but they don't have to go to a 4-year college really to get that ability. There are options where you can go to college, but maybe just take a reduced course load, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 classes at a time instead of a full 18-hour week. Maybe you can live at home and travel to the campus if that's where some of the struggles lie, is with the housing situation. There are partnerships available and programs available all across the United States that would help your child live on campus and give them some extra supports and things like that. We've had some webinars and we have some coming up where they have things called super dorms, and the kids are able to stay in dorms on campus with help and supervision and extra supports. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for your children. Maybe, maybe college or university is just not going to happen. You can go to the Texas Workforce Commission and go through their vocational rehab program where they would teach you and your loved one, what's really keeping them from being able to hold a job. And they help provide training to be able to get that job. Sometimes that training, if your plan includes like an education, they can help you pay for college. There's also Project Search down at the bottom of this page. It's another job coaching and career readiness type of program. And there's registered apprenticeships through the Department of Labor as well. So these links down here at the bottom of the page, throughout today's webinar, we have a lot of links. And when I was putting this slideshow together, I made sure that all of the links worked and they went to where they are supposed to. But please, if they don't work anymore, just send me a quick little note and let me know so that I can fix it for the next webinars. So there's this study done by Goldberg where they found that in order to be successful and to succeed in a college and non-college, non-academic area, you have to have these 6 traits. These are going to be really good to be able to help anybody. But these are things that aren't necessarily taught in high school, and things that you can practice with your loved ones at home. And especially for the community we serve, it is so important that your children are a little bit self-aware. Have them think about what their strengths and weaknesses are. Make sure they're keeping an eye around them. What's going on? Are they aware of themselves and where they are and their own diagnoses, their own needs, so that they can advocate for themselves? That's super important for anybody to succeed. Being proactive, making sure that you're reaching out for help if you need it. You are keeping track of assignments and calendars and all of that kind of stuff. And being proactive if you don't feel well or if you're having trouble understanding something in a class. You have to be able to go out to your professor or your RA in the dorms or even find some friends. You have to be a little bit proactive. You have to have perseverance. What is that? I still remember when my kids were very young and they were in daycare. My youngest was probably about 3. He wasn't speaking very, complex words or sentences or anything. And he comes home from daycare and tells me that they read a book about perseverance. And I'm like, wow, that's such a great word. But it's really important that, especially as our children face struggles, that they don't just fold and give up and run away. They have to have that strength to be able to understand, this is going to be difficult for me. And I know that, but I can face it and I can do it. And I'm sure I will be okay. So practicing perseverance, goal setting, how long is it going to take to do this assignment or go to this class? Or, how can I fit in everything I need in my schedule? And then how can I succeed? If you have goals set, you are so much more likely to succeed and to have a great school year or a great time at whatever it is you're doing, right? So goal setting is good. Being aware of and using effective social support systems. There's so much in this one bullet point. So first of all, they have to know that there are social support systems out there for them. They have to know how and when to find those support systems and actually use them. Don't just say, oh yeah, I know that's out there. Use it when you need it. And it has to be effective. There are social support systems that are out there that might be very ineffective for your children. If their social support system is a group of kids who goes out and parties every night, that's not going to be very effective for their needs. So they have to find the right social group that is going to help support them in an effective way, and they have to actually use it when they need it. And then finally, emotional coping strategies. Uh, Help your child find ways to deal with the stress when it comes up. Is it screaming into a pillow? Is it playing video games? Is it reading? Is it taking a nap? For me, I know this sounds really crazy because I'm an adult and I'm a professional, but here on my desk, I have this jar of colored pens, gel pens. And I have my coloring book over there, the adult coloring book with all the pretty flowers and intricate designs. And when I need a break from talking about all of this kind of stuff and I just need to de-stress, I use my coloring book because that's what helps me chill out. So whatever that is, maybe it's dancing to some really loud music or throwing the football around or whatever. Help your child develop some emotional coping strategies before they're away from you so that they can take that skill with them to the next destination in their life. Um, Delilah, I see you have a question in the chat box. What is the best state to live in when you have a child with severe autism and other disabilities? That's a topic that's up for debate because what are your criteria, right? We know that Texas is probably not at the top of the list, um, judging by the fact that they have very long waits for waiver programs and services and things like that. Um, it's a good Google search. What we have found is that many of the states, and I'm not saying anything political here. I am not pro or con. I'm not stating my opinion at all. But what I will say is that many states that have legalized marijuana are using that tax revenue to fund special needs programs. So maybe if you look at a state that has legalized marijuana, they would have better special needs programs. I'm not sure, but it's definitely something that you have to weigh with your family, where you want to be, where you can afford to be, and where they have good programs for your loved one. All right, so let's talk about accommodations at the college level. In grade school, middle school, and high school, your children have their IEPs, their 504s, their different accommodations, but those don't automatically transfer to college. You need to contact the college's Office of Disability. And not all of them are created equal. Some have robust programs with lots of different supports and a lot of people who work in the Office of Disability. Some offices of disability might be one or two people who don't really know what they're doing and don't have funding and don't have programs. And, so when you're comparing different schools for your loved one to go to, definitely check the Office of Disability and find out what programs they have available. Now, when it comes to your SAT, ACT, AP exams, even college courses and graduate level exams, you can have accommodations if your child needs them. What you need to do is check early with the companies that give these exams. Like I know that for teachers, they take a Praxis exam. There's the College Board. I think they do AP or whatever. Anyway, check with all of those companies that produce these exams. See what their requirements are and be prepared early. They might require updated testing if you haven't had any testing done in the past like 3 to 5 years, but they're going to want to see proof that your child needs whatever accommodation you're asking for. You might want to, well, not might want to, you definitely will want to get a power of attorney, at least for your student. Maybe sign the FERPA forms. This is kind of the educational equivalent of HIPAA forms at the doctor's office, right? The FERPA helps allow the school to speak to the parents of adult students. So once your child turns 18, they are an adult, and the schools, just like the doctor's offices, don't have to talk to you anymore. So if you have a FERPA filled out ahead of time, that will tell the school that they can talk to you about your students' progress and whatever you put on the form. Also a power of attorney. That is very helpful for any student and parent to have, not just students who have disabilities. But my son went away to college in Chicago, and we made sure we had a power of attorney for him in case something happened and he had to go to the hospital or whatever. We want them to be able to talk to us and tell us what's going on with him. When it comes to the workplace, you can also get accommodations there. It would be any reasonable accommodation is required by the workplace as long as it doesn't pose undue hardship to that business. So, for example, yes, you could probably ask them to put in a ramp or some sidewalk cutouts or handrails, or get your loved one devices and technology at work that's going to help them do their job. Those are all reasonable. It wouldn't be reasonable to ask them to move their offices from the third floor of a building that doesn't have an elevator and go find someplace else to locate the entire business. That wouldn't really be feasible. So you can look at the Department of Labor website, and there's also the Job Accommodation Network, and those can help you learn more about what accommodations would be reasonable in the workplace and what are just a little too much for you to ask for. So let's talk about some of the great educational programs around the state. These are mostly in Texas, and all of these pink underlined, the titles of the different programs, those are links, and they should go to the right places. Like I said, if you're looking through this later and you find that these links don't work or they don't go where they're supposed to, please just let me know. Now, we do not work with any of these schools. They don't work with or for us. We're just sharing some of the information that we know about them. And these are some great programs that are out there for your students. The Achieve program, HCC has what they call the VAST program, Strive at Alvin Community College. Lone Star College has several different programs, Life Path. There's the Metamorphosis program at Lynn University, Project Access out in San Antonio at Palo Alto. A&M has some great programs. They have Aggie Achieve, the Paths program, and TUCASA. And then, the LEAP program. There's UNT, if you are in the Denton area, they've got some great programs. Oh, we even have one here in Oklahoma, Sooner Works. So like I said, if you have a college that you're interested in, check with their Department of Disability and see what programs like these that they have available for you. There is also a great resource called the Think College search engine. You could go to thinkcollege.net and search their online database, and they specialize in listing out educational programs for students with disabilities. So you can search and filter by like what state it's in, what is the length of the program, the type of schools, living options and arrangements on the campus, all of that kind of stuff. And this is going to reach way further than just Texas, of course, because there's over 309 different colleges and universities that offer these kinds of programs. So thinkcollege.net is going to be a good one. We also have the privilege of being aware of Jody Glau. She is an independent educational consultant, and she has a program. Her company is called Custom College Consulting. She can actually help work with your student and help them find a great school to go to, and really help them through the process of getting enrolled and picking a great school. Again, She doesn't work for us or with us. We don't get any referral fees. We just know she's out there and that she's got this great program. So you can reach out to Jody if you're interested in learning more about what she does. College Living Experience. This is another nationwide type of program that provides individualized guidance and instruction, no matter where your student is. It's not tied to like just one or two schools, but many, many different schools can use the College Living Experience. They're going to help with academics and career development, independent living skills, and social development. I mentioned the Texas Workforce Commission VR program earlier. This is some information about their pre-employment transition services. So they can help you assess vocational opportunities and see, what's hot and what's not in the job market right now. And where is there money to be made? What are some good options and career fields that are growing and hiring? And, are there internships available for your loved ones? They can help tour workplaces. They can do job shadowing and simulated work experiences, and even mentorship. So it's a really, really great program. I have heard that sometimes the VR program does get a little bit behind. This is, they're doing their best, but sometimes they get behind, just like any other statewide program. But there is usually, well, I've heard that there is a vocational rehab program in every state. So even if you're not in Texas, you can use this program in your state. Then once they help think about what kind of job your student would want, they can help them become ready to take on that job with work readiness programs, help them become a problem solver and an effective communicator, and how to manage time and money. They can help them determine what educational opportunities line up with the jobs that they want. And sometimes they can even help pay for educational opportunities, job training, coaching, and assistance, and things like that. They also help your child understand rights and responsibilities in terms of the workplace and what they need to know. So the VR program is definitely wonderful. Now you might be thinking, oh, I'm sorry, there's a question. Sophia would like to know if we know the application deadline for the Summer Earn and Learn program, SEAL, which is through the Texas Workforce Commission. I do not. I do not know what their deadlines are for the summer program. If anybody does know, I hope they'll put it in the chat box for you. So the next question is, okay, well, all those programs sound really great, but how are we going to pay for it? Yeah, everybody worries about that, right? So everybody wants to know, how am I going to pay for college for my student? First of all, fill out the FAFSA. Even if you think that your family makes too much money, that's okay. Fill out the FAFSA. They use that form in order to award scholarships and look at other things as well, not just whether or not you can get the kind of aid that is dependent on your income. So it doesn't matter how much you make, fill out the FAFSA form when it becomes available. Of course, there are tons of scholarships. We've got 5 pages of scholarships coming up, but check in your community. Think about, your neighborhood HOA. Some neighborhoods hold charitable events and provide scholarship money through those events. Maybe there's a scholarship based on your child's specific diagnosis. Those are quite common. Or if they're in a hobby that might have a scholarship, like a sport or music. Even when I went to college, my grandparents they were the founders of a club for people who love jazz music. And I wasn't doing anything with music, so I didn't really involve the club. But if I was going into music in college, that would have been a great thing to ask the jazz club to help me pay for it. So think about your connections, think about your child's interests, and look for scholarships based on those things. We want you to look early, get started early. And, you know, Allison always says that she had like a spreadsheet and a folder and a special notebook. She's a little extra sometimes, but she was prepared, I'll tell you that. And she knew when the deadlines are and when things needed to be turned in and what she had turned in and what she had not yet with her daughter, what essays they had to write or whatever. And try to use, 3 or 4 essays should cover almost every scholarship opportunity and college application. So help your kids get together a few great essays and then tweak those to each different opportunity that they're applying to based on their criteria. Of course, a 529 college savings plan can help you fund college. That's one program. Now, if you have a 529 college fund program, that can help you pay for anything related to educational expenses, tuition, room and board, books, computers, anything like that. Now, if you think that it might be a possibility that your child will not go to college, you might want to look at the ABLE account instead. Or in addition, you can have both a 529 college plan and a 529A for ABLE plan. The ABLE is only available to students with disabilities or people with disabilities, but you're able to use that money for pretty much anything that they need, not just school. And we're going to get deeper into the ABLE account in a minute. Oh, how about right now? So you can save up to $100,000 in an ABLE account for your loved one, and it does not affect their SSI or Medicaid benefits. So the beneficiary is the account owner, but still, it doesn't affect their benefits. You put money into the account and that money goes to purchase mutual funds. And then as those funds grow, they earn income and the income earned is not taxed. So it does have a tax advantage to it. Those are the two big advantages to the ABLE account. It doesn't count against their benefits and they have growth that is not taxed. So there's ABLE accounts all across the country. Almost every state has kind of a state-sponsored ABLE account program that you can use. Most states do not require you to live in that state to use their ABLE account. Now, they don't let you take a federal income tax deduction for money you put into the ABLE. Some states will let you do that. If you live in the state and use their ABLE account, sometimes you can take a tax deduction for that. However, here in Texas, we don't have income taxes, so that doesn't really apply. So if you're in Texas, go ahead and pick the best ABLE account all across the country that you want. We sign our clients up for ABLE accounts at no charge. But when you're looking at different ABLE accounts, you want to think about what are their investment options? How do you open an account? How difficult is it? How easy is it? What are the maintenance fees? And what's that customer service like? You want to be able to get that money when you need it and to ask questions when you have them. These are some of the guidelines for the ABLE account. You have to have a disability that started before age 26. Now they are changing that rule. So if you've missed the age 26 cutoff, just wait because they're going to make that, I think, to 56 or something. Anybody can put money into the ABLE account, but each ABLE account, each individual has one ABLE account, and that one ABLE account can have $19,000 put into it this year. It's not $19,000 per person putting into the ABLE account, but the ABLE account can get $19,000 put into it. You can put more in if you're working, but you still cannot go over $100,000 because that's the point where Medicaid would say, you have enough, you don't need our help anymore. We're not going to give you any more help. So you can take the money out and use it as much as you need with no penalties or no crazy taxes or anything like that, as long as it goes to your special needs individual. And the one other thing though about ABLE accounts that you need to know is that if your child passes away and there's still money in the ABLE account, Medicaid can come back and claim reimbursement from this account, just for the money that they've paid to your child in their care, but they can come. So you can use really the ABLE account for almost anything, and it doesn't cause any reductions to SSI. It doesn't cause any problems at all. Now, there is a small difference with the special needs trust, but the ABLE account is clear. As long as that money can be construed as achieving a better life experience for your loved one, you can use it. So Delilah, I see that you would like to know that a secondary school for a severely disabled child. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. A lot of schools will not take children who have guardianship. A lot of colleges and universities won't take students who have guardianship. So if that's something that you have in place or are thinking about getting, you really want to think that through. But if you need guardianship over your child, you need it. And you shouldn't really, maybe college just isn't going to be right for them. Maybe look for something quicker and easier where they don't have to go live on campus. Okay, scholarships. The first thing about scholarships, if your child is adopted through the state, they get free college. Isn't that cool? At state schools. So if your child is adopted, find out about that first of all through the Family and Protective Services office. Then we also suggest that you talk to wherever your child is going for their, medical stuff. Do you go to Baylor College of Medicine? You go to Memorial Hermann? Do you go to Texas Children's for their health stuff? They might have a list of scholarships for you. There's a list of scholarship searches here, big ones, fastweb.com, Smart Scholar, scholarships.com. You're going to find a lot there. We suggest that you don't waste your time with very small scholarships. For example, the Terry Scholarship, this is specific to Texas. You can use it at any of the 11 Texas public universities that are in that goldish bubble. And it will provide a full ride scholarship. So we do have one student who received the Terry Scholarship based on years and years of volunteer work. She volunteered all through high school, and really because she wasn't working because of her disabilities, she was able to devote that time to scholarships and activism, and she was able to get a Terry Scholarship. Now, one of the cool things is that, you can apply to this scholarship at all of the different universities on this list. So let's say you apply to A&M at College Station, but you really prefer to go to UT San Antonio, but you don't get accepted to San Antonio. Or maybe you do get accepted, but you don't get the scholarship there, and you do get it at the other place. You can start at Texas A&M with the Terry Scholarship, and then after you're there for 1 year, transfer to the school that you prefer, and you can take the scholarship with you. So there are some cool little tricks with the Terry Scholarship. It is definitely worth it because it provides a full ride. So the contact information is down there at the bottom of the page if you want to learn more. And of course, you can click this link to learn more about the Terry Scholarship. Other scholarship opportunities, you ask? Here you go. What do we have? If you have autism, epilepsy, I've seen immune deficiencies, cystic fibrosis. Um, there's just all kinds of scholarships available. MS Society has a scholarship, the Hemophilia Foundation. They have a specific scholarship just for people with learning disabilities. Look for the big ones. Keep track of what you have applied for and when their deadlines are and all of that. Um, there's a wheelchair scholarship. There's even fun scholarships like there's that one that Duct Tape does where you make an outfit for prom using duct tape and you can win a scholarship for that. So there's all kinds of scholarships available. Some of them are fun and some of them just you write an essay. Some of them are more like a contest that you enter and they just pick random people. But scholarships are a great way to help you pay for school. There's many here through blindness. There are scholarships available for people who are deaf. Um, let's see, what else have we got here? A medical scholarship, a Google Lyme scholarship, all kinds of stuff. So get in there, dig into some of these links and try to find some great scholarships. Like I said, don't worry about the little ones that are 2, 3, $500. They might pay for a book. Spend your time wisely and apply to all the biggest ones that you can find first. So, what schools are available and what's out there, and how are you going to find a good school for your loved one? These are 3 books that we highly recommend that you take a look at. The K&W Guide to Colleges for Students with Learning Differences. The Fisk Guide to Colleges is always a great option. And then there's this great book, Colleges That Change Lives, 40 different schools that will change the way you think about college campus. What I want to say to you is don't rule out schools that are out of state or that are private versus public just because you assume that they're going to be more expensive. What I have learned through my own kids going to college and through educating myself on the topic is that sometimes, many, many times, the best school for our loved ones is going to be a private school, possibly in another state. And it is very likely that because those schools are so much smaller, your student is going to get a more personalized education in smaller classrooms, a small campus, where they have more opportunities to meet friends and not really get lost in the shuffle. Now, at a smaller private school, they have scholarships that they can offer to people that will bring down your price, your cost of tuition down to about the same level as a public school that is in your state. I sent my son to a private school out of state and it was just the same price as UT because UT is so big. They have so many people. My son would have been a tiny little fish in this great big pond. And they have thousands and thousands and thousands of scholarship applications. They can't possibly help everybody. And so therefore the kids don't really get great scholarships. They get tiny little ones. And you might see that the prices even out. And the other thing that you need to know is that when a school sends you your scholarship award letter or your financial aid award letter, you can negotiate that. You can write back to your admissions counselor or whoever it is that you've been speaking with, or whoever is at the financial aid office and say, gosh, we are so honored that you offered us these scholarships and we so love your school, but at this price, it's still out of our reach. If you could help us with just this much more, we would be able to say yes. Or you could say something like, hey, we are comparing these 2 schools. They offered us this much in scholarships, but we really love your campus so much more. If you could meet their scholarship, we would certainly go to you. Things like that actually work, and they do take the time. as long as it's a smaller school. Now, if you're at a giant school and there are hundreds of thousands of applicants, they don't have time to read all of that. So sometimes a smaller private school is actually going to be better. So that's about all I have on today's topic. So if you have any questions as I wrap up, you can put them in the chat box. Think about these things, keep them on your radar. That comprehensive special needs plan, it's really going to be beneficial for your family to think about the future and get these things out and on paper and ready to go. Think about that future cost of care for your loved one. The waiver programs, SSI and SSDI, Medicaid, Medicare, ABLE accounts. We can help you with all of these kinds of things. And if you have questions, you can reach out to me directly. I'm going to put my stuff back in the chat box. So you have my email and phone and our YouTube channel, so you can check out more information. We talk a lot about beneficiary designations, special needs trusts, and legal issues like guardianship. This link will take you to our upcoming webinars on our website, so you can register for the next webinar that we're going to have. This is our entire team. Again, we're members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, Chartered Special Needs Consultants, National Social Security Advisors. We are a small holistic firm and we work all across the United States, even though we're based just outside of Houston. And the last thing, I'm wrapping up with just 4 minutes to spare. So if you have questions, get them in the chat. This is how you can schedule your free Zoom consultation. You would meet with me or one of the other advisors on our staff. You have the opportunity to pick our brain about any questions that you want answered. And then we would talk to you a little bit more about your family, give you some advice about what you're doing or not yet doing. And then we'll talk about who we are and how we work and what we charge if you wanted to work with us. You do not have to make a decision in that Zoom call. We do not bite, we do not pressure. Our main goal really is to answer your questions first and then tell you about us. I can schedule that for you, or you can use the QR code or call or email the office. And finally, these links on the bottom will take you to our YouTube channel, Instagram. We have a podcast if you prefer to listen instead of watching, and our Facebook page. So again, I just want to thank everybody for being here today, especially Kara for telling us about the Williams School and for sharing us with your audience and for allowing us to share you with our audience. I think it's such a great opportunity that you have there. Now, specific to the Williams School, that question that was here about people who might have severe disabilities, would they be available? Would there be an available spot at the Williams School?
Yes, we do not have criteria for behavior levels that are too high or levels of need. So we do service all levels of support. It's just making sure that we have the right space in the right classroom with the right staffing to support that. But we welcome all level of learners.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And thank you again for being here. Thank you everybody else for being here, taking your time to listen to me. I hope you've learned something. And like I said, if you have any further questions or anything I can help you with, just feel free to reach out. It's in my heart. It's not just my job to help you and to help make sure that you're going in the right direction. So again, thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and I hope I get to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Kara.
Bye.